Real estate is about freedom, choice freedom, time freedom, and money freedom, and the impact you can make with that freedom. But it doesn't come without cost. Your freedom takes work. That's why Neil Timmins brings together the tools you need to build your real estate legacy, from tips and tricks to interviews with industry titans. It's all here in one place. Real Grit. Let's get to it.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm Neil Timmins. Hey, I've got Ava Bouwkamp here with me. She's the head of investor relations at my company, in Legacy Impact Investors. And I've got a big news. And so I want to have her on and we'll chat a little bit. But the big news is this, that starting next episode, we've got a complete change of our podcast. Our format's changing. The name is changing. And it's largely to reflect the focus on really my focus, where we're headed as a business and the conversations that we're having internally as a business and as I have on the events I go to, the people I speak with, the circles I run in has largely changed since we launched the podcast here almost a year and a half ago. I can't believe it's been that long and done 140 episodes plus or minus, a whole bunch of conversations. And so I wanted to come on and shoot a little episode because it's a big deal. Our audience, I'm excited for you, the audience, because we're going to be talking about passive income, really largely commercial real estate. So the name of the podcast is Passive Real Estate Investing with Mavericks. And so I'm excited for what's coming. And I wanted Ava to come on here because you're going to be seeing more of her. What will happen from a schedule standpoint is we're still going to roll out 2 episodes each week, but sometime in late May, we're going to roll out a 3rd episode each week. Ava and I are going to come on. We're going to be talking about news, current events, what's taking place in the commercial real estate arena where we focus our time, energy, and effort. So I'm excited you're here, Ava, to say hello to the audience, and I know they're gonna get used to seeing more of you.
Thank you. Well, I think last time I was on a podcast, I think I was still Ava Grossman at that point. So
you were.
It's high time that we hop on another episode, and I think we're both really excited for this podcast rebrand, not only because we're going to deliver great value to all of our listeners with the guests that we've got coming on, but I think it really integrates well with our focus as a company, with our passion, the direction that we're taking. And so I think this will be really great to bring the podcast in alignment with what we spend the majority of our time doing on a daily basis, because it helps make us better operators, but we can also provide and deliver great value on the podcast because those are the weeds we're swimming in every single day.
Yeah, I started this, and what I love about this is largely I just get to talk to people either know, like, and trust, or get connected with, and get to have really cool conversations. And I just get to, largely hit record, and you get to be a fly in the wall from conversations that I love to have. And when I see these folks at various events, I have very similar conversations with them. We're just in the weeds having really great conversations about things that largely I'm passionate about and they're passionate about, and they just line up with really fun subjects. And for you guys, it's packaging that up in a way that is very tangible, very actionable from your standpoint to grow your passive income. Because that's the goal from the new brand, the new conversations, if you will, is largely to help you grow your passive income and to become job optional. Total freedom in what it is you do, no matter what you do today. So whether you are, a doctor or a lawyer, have a professional job of some nature, or you're an active real estate investor, the goal is still to grow your passive income no matter what. And sometimes if the active guys, it's inside your own projects. And sometimes it means investing with other people in projects, like I have invested with other people in their projects, because it just makes sense.
Yeah. So maybe can you speak a little bit more? We've mentioned the words passive income. I'm sure you've talked, under Real Grit, we've talked about both single family and commercial real estate. So maybe can you provide a little context for this change, for where that passive income is coming from?
Yeah. I started my career in real estate. Well, it'll be 19 years here as we get to the year. It's unbelievable. 19 years ago as a real estate agent. That's where I started. Cut my teeth as a real estate agent selling houses. And in short order, I had a RE/MAX. I became the number one RE/MAX agent in Iowa when I was 29 years old. Sold my RE/MAX and eventually found my way back into the house business, investing, buying, fixing, flipping. And we've done multiple hundreds at this point from an investment standpoint on the single family house side. And, I thought, what? There's no better way to get passive income than to buy houses, right? And these are great, like little treasures. Collect these things. They're wonderful. And what I found the very hard way over a period of time after buying dozens and dozens of them is that might be the greatest lie in history, that there is nothing passive about single family investing. And so 5-ish years ago, I don't know the exact date, maybe 6 at this point, somewhere around 5 years ago, I picked up a commercial property, 17,000 square foot industrial building. And we got months into that thing. And I thought, you know what? I never hear from this tenant ever, ever, ever. And I was a property manager. And I thought, you know what? I think we might be onto something here. And so, you fast forward, and at this point, we've bought multiple commercial properties. I mean, several commercial properties here, largely in Iowa, but also largely through the Midwest, primarily in Iowa, but in the Midwest as well. And it's just become a much bigger focus. And the single family for us business is we've sold almost all of the, kind of run of the mill single family stuff that would be just straight rental properties. All those things have gone out the door, and the money just invested, and the time and energy invested in the commercial properties. And the commercial components relative to producing stability and cash flow and actually delivering passive income at a business level, even when we manage the property, so much simpler, so much easier. And then our ability to connect with other folks who are doing something else, right? Doing a job and looking for an alternative to place their dollars and cents with somebody who's been there, done that, knows what they're doing, and also does a ride with them. We put our own money in the deals. We want to create an opportunity and have in the past, and want to expand that opportunity for folks. And so there's a little bit of the backstory in case you didn't know, and where we're headed. And it's largely focused on the Midwest, focused, for us in cash flowing assets, things that have stability to what is it we're doing. Not swinging for the fences. We can do exceptionally well when we buy value, and then we plan for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. No investment is without any risk. Mm-hmm. You can invest on Wall Street, and that's full of risk, but most people don't really understand the risks that they're taking on. You can also invest in real estate, which is something that is much easier to understand than all of the levers and systems involved in investing on Wall Street. We're not saying don't ever do that, but we've discovered that real estate is just a great avenue for producing passive income. Specifically, commercial real estate is far more passive than those single families. For those who don't know about the term maverick, it might be kind of that's not a word I would expect to hear in a podcast title. So can you talk a little bit about the history behind the word maverick and what that means to you?
Yeah, I'll give you the whole story. Is that, I grew up here in Des Moines, Iowa. I played football, and I was recruited by a number of places, but ultimately landed at the University of Nebraska at Omaha, home of the Mavericks. And so it resonated with me in a big way at that time, is to go, all right, cool. We get what does that really mean? You're off on your own. You're doing your own thing. And for different sections of my life, it has meant different things, right? But for an 18-year-old, you're forging your own path. And, at least that's what you told yourself when mom and dad are just a couple hours away, and a complete safety net. Mm-hmm. So it was wonderful. I loved Omaha and studied a whole bunch of Warren Buffett in Omaha. I drove by his house, his personal residence, every day. I was in school for the entirety of school. Lived, like 2 blocks away from the university there. So studied him and really worked to emulate him wherever we can, right? He's got some tremendous principles that are sound no matter what or what it is you invest in. But as it relates to, the podcast, something I heard, and you guys, you'll hear it in the introduction to the show, is a foe of the status quo. And that really resonated with me because the status quo relative to investing will lead you down a very average, which I would classify as mediocre path. And so it's not about being, somebody in the wild, wild west. That's not how I would categorize a maverick. It is a foe to the status quo and the opposite of mediocrity, exceptional, right? Somebody who's out leading the path, taking extraordinary calculated risk. That's how I define it. And that's how it's shaped me. And that word resonated with me so well that instead of calling folks guests on our show, I call them all mavericks on our show. They have, in many cases, done very exceptional things in their life. And so what you're going to see is investors, in many cases, people doing larger deals, doing apartment deals, doing various asset classes, but doing much, much bigger things, creating passive income for folks in their world. But past that, people who specialize in IRAs, different financial strategies that one can utilize to increase their position and move themselves forward faster when it comes to achieving their passive income goals.
Yeah, that's great. Before we were hopping on this podcast episode, Neil and I were talking about the term anti-fragile, which is another related term that comes to mind when you use the word maverick. The people who are going to be on the show and the type of people who are going to listen to, enjoy, and derive benefit out of the podcast are going to be those kinds of people who create security for themselves by the actions they take. They're going to use real estate as a tool to make themselves job optional, to make sure that if they're fired, if their company closes, if, the financial market takes another nosedive, we're hearing crazy headlines all of the time about these factors that are entirely outside of our control. And a maverick is the kind of person that's going to see all of those factors, and instead of being scared by them, they're going to say, okay, what are the actions that I need to take to make sure that if these factors are going to impact me, I'm not going to be destroyed by them. In fact, I'm going to be able to take advantage of those circumstances to make sure that me, my family, and my community are actually pulled up with me and with the decisions that I make.
Well, challenges create opportunities, right? So a challenging environment, a challenging economic state or status creates opportunities for those who can identify value and execute on a business plan that gets to realize that value. And so I'm excited, I'm excited about the show. I'm excited about the environment that we're in today, because we're in an ever-changing environment. And an ever-changing environment, you're going to find it's going to separate the weak from the strong, and those who can identify and can execute and put a strategy and a plan and a team together, and those who just rode a wave over the last handful of years. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we're in a changing environment. There is something different about it. You don't want to make sure we understand, and that, the core of what you should be getting from the guests is, how do you strengthen? How do you, as a passive investor, get better at asking questions? Knowing what questions to ask? How to identify successful projects, successful operators from one another? And so you're going to get a lot of that out of the show. So it should be a tremendous, tremendous benefit. And I'm excited for where we're headed. I'm excited to roll this new brand out.
Yeah, lots of tangible, actionable insight is what we're going for, because we have looked for that in podcasts and didn't find exactly what we were looking for. So we thought, well, if we can't find a podcast to listen to, we'll just make it ourselves. So, as we close out, just a reminder that the schedule will stay the same. 2 episodes a week for now. And then near the end of May, we'll be adding an additional episode where Neil and I review some headlines once a week. Neil, are there any last comments or thoughts you have before we wrap up?
Well, the only comment is that you're going to notice, obviously, the titles change. So when you get this downloaded to your phone, your app, wherever you listen to this, you're going to see the title change. You're going to see the imagery change as well. So just a heads up on that, and I'm excited to have you here. It's going to be a tremendous amount of fun, and I'm excited for you guys to hear the guests that we've got, because I've got a whole bunch that we've already recorded that are going to be fun to roll out, and I know we've got some really incredible guests lined up that are forthcoming. So I'm excited, and thank you guys for tuning in.
If you like our content and want more, you can access it at realgritpodcast.com. You hear it guest after guest. Instinctively, you already know it. But let me call it out. The most expensive action is inaction. The real estate market is full of opportunities. You just need to uncover them. You can build a business that lasts for years, makes monumental impact in the lives of those that you love. It's not just about business, but about the freedom you get because of it. Have you ever heard the saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I believe that partnering is essential. In fact, I partner with hardworking investors all the time. The point is that you can get a lot further with the right partner. Let me say it again, the right partner. If you've ever thought about partnering with anyone, or if you have a partner now, I encourage you to download my free Partner and Profit Guide, which includes the top 5 must-answer questions to evaluate a profitable partnership. You can find it at www.legacyimpactpartners.com. I'll see you in the next episode.